Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us today. I think we're going to have a fascinating next couple of hours as we listen to 5 different entrepreneurs present their products and their ideas to us. And we've got a great panel of judges as well, just alongside listening and to give commentary as well, which we'll introduce you to in a second. Firstly, though, let me just quickly introduce Lauren, who's sitting alongside me, who's very much the kind of real driver behind this event. Lauren, would you like to say good morning?
Yes, hi, good morning everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. It's a bit strange. We've been holding these Dragon's Den type events now for many years, obviously in person. And it's lovely to do it virtually because the need for innovation and for businesses big and small to innovate, collaborate and support each other is still very much there. So thank you very much to the businesses that it's given up their time to join us this morning and present to you all. But also thank you so much for the judges to be here to give their positive feedback. It is all about, you know, trying to get representation as we did, not going to say the old world, get representation from industry, all sections of industry, so that entrepreneurs can build those business relationships and can have the positive feedback that those very experienced dragons, for nice dragons, are able to give. So thank you to everyone who's given up their time to join us. And also thank you to the audience. It is all about us sharing knowledge. It is about showing you what's available and about, you know, anyone who can help these businesses grow and continue to innovate for the future. Very, very grateful to all of them.
So as we go into this, a number of points before we start. Please ask any question you wish on chat, and we will try to make sure that you get an answer during the course of this, either this session or straight away afterwards as well. But please, it is about being interactive, so do feel free to ask any question or to make any comment. Innovation is going to become more important at this period of time. I think everyone knows that, you know, the road out isn't going to be easy. How services change is going to be a major issue on everyone's minds. And actually how technology, how AI, how different services impact on us is going to be exactly at the heart of everyone's conversations. And that's what we want to discuss today. But it goes deeper than that even. You know, the reality is the government wants the UK, after that horrible word Brexit happens, to become a centre of real innovation entrepreneurship. And actually the UK has long had a proud history of being a centre of entrepreneurship. So again, we really want to highlight great entrepreneurs coming through. Their great concepts are coming through. This is going to become a bigger theme as we move forward. But we also want to make sure there's a marriage between big business and small business, because actually that marriage is really important. You know, 92% of the economy is based on small business. So it's important that small business actually does thrive and prosper if we're going to find the best road out of this period of time. So again, it's something we want to champion, because actually it does make a real difference. So that's going to be the heart of obviously what we're going to be trying to talk about today. But the key part of this, I think, is always the judges. Would you like to introduce the judges, Laura?
Yes, absolutely. Very grateful to have a variety of judges, like I said, representing all sectors. So could I ask Ramesh, Yanis, Catherine, Adam, and James to please unmute themselves and bring themselves onto screen. Hi.
Hi, very welcome.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us today.
Yanis, where are you?
Now I can start my video. There you go. Good morning.
And Ramesh, do you want to just join us?
Yeah, I'm just having a problem with my, I hope you can hear me because I'm having a little problem, so.
Okay, well, we can hear you. Let's start the introductions anyway in the meantime. Can you see us, Ramesh?
Yes, I can see you.
Okay. James, would you like just to briefly introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Lauren. I'm James Wheaton, Business Development Director at Bartlett Mitchell. So we're a independent national contract catering company. And this is, you know, really important to us. We actually have what we call BM Inc. Within our business. So we actually actively go out and support new young entrepreneurs. So it's a really important thing. So I'm really pleased to be on it.
Oh, very welcome. Adam.
Morning, Lauren, Chris, Adam Elliott. I'm co-founder of Paragon Hospitality. We operate outsourced venues, hotels and rooftop bars. And I've probably been on this panel for many, many years belong. I'm probably the eldest and the most grumpiest, but looking forward to it.
And you'll be invited to
Catherine, good morning.
Good morning. I am Catherine Pretzel-Shields. Having had a long career in financial services and also in hospitality, I'm currently consulting and advising businesses, and a huge supporter of both mentoring and diversity and inclusion and innovation and bringing big and small businesses together. Pleasure to be here.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you. Joyce, welcome this morning.
Hello, I'm Joyce. I'm the co-founder of Double Dutch. We do a range of premium mixers and tonic waters. I'm definitely the least experienced of this whole group of tourists. I started Double Dutch about 5 years ago with my twin sister. We've done hundreds and hundreds of pitches ourselves to investors and mentors and whatever. So I'm very excited to be on the other side this time. And I can't wait to hear everybody's pitch.
And you've just been invested in by Heineken as well, haven't you?
Yes.
Heineken family.
Yeah, so we got just a minority stake of the Heineken family, which is really growing, hopefully helping us grow to the next step. We're currently doing about 1 million bottles a month. So off to the 10 millionth of bottle a month.
Well, good luck. At least you can feel for them today. Yanis, good morning.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Yanis. I'm the general manager of the Beaumont Hotel in Mayfair, and equally, I'm very excited to be on the call today and intrigued to hear from everybody. And I've have to say that I've obviously sneak peeked into a couple of the companies and fabulous ideas out there. So I think we're in for a treat.
Oh, thank you. And Ramesh.
Good morning, all. Firstly, I'm a very good friend of EP, and I've done a number of these sessions before. Obviously, I'm missing the fact that it's not a live session in that sense. I'm a lawyer by profession, but my main role is as a brand ambassador for an international law firm. And I'm not here as a dragon, I'm more here as a listener and somebody who hopefully can connect some people to opportunities. So I'm really looking forward to listening, learning. And Chris, this is the first shirt I put on for 3 months. So.
I put my first suit on yesterday, which is a very strange experience, I have to say. I found it very, very weird. So that's quite interesting. Well, look, welcome to all of you. And I hope you really enjoyed this session. And good luck to all the entrepreneurs. I hope it goes well for you today. I really do.
And I appreciate it is a bit intimidating, you know, talking to a screen when before we had the personal connection. So please bear with the entrepreneurs. They are doing their best, and we will have 10 minutes of discussion from each entrepreneur, and then please ask any questions and give positive feedback. It is very important for them to have your insights, and like Ramesh said, you know, to listen and see how we can help them grow and help other businesses innovate through them. So I suppose it's good time to start then. We will be starting with Maxwell. Maxwell, if you could unmute yourself and bring your screen on. Maxwell's from a really interesting company called Dynamify. And judges, I will give it over to Maxwell.
Thank you very much. So hopefully you can all hear me okay. And I've just shared my screen. So could you all confirm that you can see that okay?
Yeah.
Presentation? Awesome. So yeah, my name's Max. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Dynamify. And we are the fastest and safest way to order and pay. So I guess, here we go. Before I get into it, how it all started. So I used to work in the wonderful world of private equity and finance. And one day I ended up being really late to an important meeting because I spent 10 minutes standing in a coffee queue. And that was really the light bulb moment. This was back in 2015 before Click and Collect and Deliveroo and the like were popular. And really from there, what emerged was we basically have built a company that builds online ordering platforms for contract caterers completely in their branding so that they don't have to. So we take that stress away from them. And you can see here some of our clients in the industry. And what's really interesting as well is where that technology has been deployed. So we've been deployed in every sector, I think, apart from prisons. Maybe that's one that we'll disrupt next. But we've been in offices, universities, schools, hospitals, venues and stadiums. and we're also all over the world. So in the US, in Europe, and in Asia. And I always like to start with why. So what you can see here is the first 3 reasons that are highlighted in pink are the reasons why we believe you should go digital as a contract caterer. And then the final one, which was very much unexpected, but this is why it's so important to do that now. So firstly, digital or die. So obviously customers, especially millennials such as myself and Gen Z coming up, etc., we all expect a digital first experience. And we're really used to very convenient, personalized ordering experience from the likes of Deliveroo and Uber Eats. And I think if you get into a different catering environment and that's not there, then it feels like you're really missing out, because you expect and you've become acclimatized to having that kind of an ordering experience. The second thing, and I think this struck me when I sort of first started the business, is how little data contract caterers actually capture on their customers and on their operations. And what we do is not only do we capture lots of data, but also it's non-anonymized. So this means that you can understand exactly who your customers are and what their preferences are and how to market to them. And that's really powerful in kind of helping your business decisions. And then also thirdly is the operational efficiencies. So as I'll come on to later, staff can process orders much quicker and they don't need all of that clunky, expensive kind of traditional point of sale equipment. And then the final one, like I said, completely unexpected. But what's become such a forcing factor recently is that those queues are no longer just a nuisance to people like me, but actually they've now become a health risk, as has all of the shared touch points, of which there are many. So cash, card machines, etc., loyalty cards. And so what our solution does is, because it's completely touchless and you can queue virtually, it's obviously been fantastic for COVID mitigation. So I guess, how does it actually work? So high level, we have 3 key components. So the first one is a digital ordering app for consumers, and this is how they place their orders. The second one is an order processing app, and this is for either sites or central kitchens, and this is how they receive, accept and manage those online orders. And then the third one is an analytics and marketing dashboard, which is what gives you that insight that I just mentioned, but also is how you can really engage back on the mobile phone to that customer, which on average nowadays, we're all looking at our phones over 100 times a day. So it really is the best way to communicate with people. Then I guess a little bit on the actual ordering methods themselves. So what's good about our solution is everything is available. So you're not having to botch together lots of different apps. And so on site, you have the ability to pre-order. And that could be food that's made, in the kitchen, or it could be food that's made outside of the office that gets delivered in. And essentially you browse the menu, pre-order and pay, and then you turn up at the time that your order is ready, thereby not having to queue. The second one is self-checkout. And so here you, for those people that don't want to pre-order because they want to go and see the food, or they weren't that organized as to pre-order before they got to the canteen, they can just walk up to all of the menu items and scan the QR code, of which acts as a shelf edge label, and it instantly adds the product to their basket, and they pay and then show their receipt to the server, and then they can walk off again. So again, eliminating those lines and touch points. And then the third one that's on site as well is obviously hospitality. So if you're in a meeting room or an event space, then you can order in hospitality. And then outside of the office or the uni or whatever it is, you also have home. And that's become a lot more important in the past couple of months. And so our delivery as a service element of the platform means that you can feed your teams who are working from home and capture customers that aren't on site, as the industry obviously has to now move to being more agnostic to where their customers are located. And I guess just a quick bit on the, on some of the benefits on the operational side. So as mentioned, you don't need to enter your order details as the caterer into a POS. You also don't need to take cash or card payments. Everything is prepaid for through the customer's mobile phone. And likewise, you don't need to handle receipts or take stamp those kind of physical loyalty cards. And what this adds up to is per order, you're saving approximately 60 seconds. So it just means you can serve your guests much quicker, but also you don't need as many cashiers, and those cashiers you can then put to much more productive use, such as being customer service representatives or food production in the kitchen or whatever it is. And then I guess it's always useful to talk about some of the metrics. So, really, I think the key one on here is actually that we're powering at a lot of our sites 100% of checkout. We've not really heard of that anywhere else. And this is because the technology is so good that what happens is you put it in and people just turn the point of sale off. They're like, we don't actually need this anymore. And so you're also obviously saving a load of time per order, so about 6.5 minutes. 100% reduction in touch points that I mentioned. It's very easy to go live. So it takes 2.5 minutes. There's a YouTube online which shows me from home setting up a site for digital ordering, which you can do in under 2.5 minutes. You just need a Wi-Fi connection. We released over 100 features in 2019. So we're keeping very agile and innovative, which is very important at the moment. And then finally as well, obviously there is a reduced cost to serve because you're using automation and AI and technology. And so that's really helpful at the moment when people are worrying about costs, rightfully. And so I guess just kind of bringing that together, why people are going with us is because we're able to drive the best results. It's the complete solution. So you're not botching together lots of different apps, very easy and quick to use, both for the caterer, but also for the customer. And then also very agile and innovative. And then the final one, not to sort of scare everybody, but you really can't afford to mess this up as a caterer, because Europe's most formidable food company is coming after your lunch. So, Will Shu, the founder of Deliveroo, has been very clear that his ambition is to feed people 3 times a day. And they've now conquered the high street and are actively pushing into new growth markets. So they've launched Deliveroo for Business, which is for the contract catering sector. They've got Amazon behind them, who obviously did a phenomenal job in conquering the whole retail market, frankly. So you can imagine what the vision is for Deliveroo in the food space. And they've also recently brought out features like click and collect, table service. They've been delivering into sectors that people never thought they'd get a foothold in, like the NHS and some schools. And so really, what our proposition to caterers is, let us do the hard yards on the tech side. And by collaborating, we can make sure that you have a viable alternative to Deliveroo, and that these guys don't end up eating your lunch. So that's everything from me. I don't know if you guys have any questions that you wanted to jump into.
So Chris, can I start?
Yes.
Please do. Sorry, just coming on. Yeah, please do.
So you started in 2015 and you got some immediate recognition in 2016 with Google, one of the top 10 startups in 2016. What impact did that have?
It's hard to quantify. I would say it definitely was useful. Those kind of things always help. But at the end of the day, it always comes down to business fundamentals and making sure that you've got a really good product. And obviously in the early days, nobody really believes in what you're doing because it's innovative. And so, it was a couple of hard years really to get to where we are. But now it's very widely accepted what we're doing. And we keep landing new clients and sort of, but by the week at the moment. So it's all been good, and hopefully there'll be more rewards that come.
Okay, and you got what, 7 employees or more?
No, there's more actually. We're now just under 14 at the moment. So.
Okay, and you managed to reach out to Asia as well. Is this just Taiwan or other countries as well?
Other countries as well. So in Asia, we're currently live in Japan and Hong Kong.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
And can we just ask questions, or do we need to wait?
Yeah, please do, Joyce. Feel free. Go for it.
Great idea, love it. And how, I would be super interested to hear, like, how do you do your exports? Do you work on you do a licensing program with local developers there? You do it all from here, from the UK, or how do you grow in Asia and in other export markets so far away?
It's a really good point. So everything is done in the UK. So we're a UK, London-based company. And I think the kind of secret to our ability to scale is that when we first began the company, we actually, for almost a random reason, got our first client in Asia. So we did not have a choice, but we had to build something. We couldn't afford back then to even set up a team in Asia. So we had to build technology that would work over there without any support from us. And that meant we had to use lots of automation. We had to use lots of AI, self-service, that kind of stuff. And what actually has happened is, at the time, it felt so horrible because it was so difficult initially. But what it's meant is we've built a system that's so simple, it can be understood in any language. It doesn't require us to have an on-site team around the world. We don't have any presence in Asia, any physical presence. And actually that's ended up being really helpful, because now, same with the US as well, it's meant that we're able to service all these markets without having a physical presence there. And we don't need a particularly large team either.
That's good. And how's your split, export versus domestic versus UK?
Sure. It's probably about 60% UK, 40% export.
Great.
Max, thank you very much. Congratulations, great presentation. I'm looking through this with the eyes of a hotelier. A couple of questions. One, obviously, have you thought about the whole world of room service? You mentioned catering for meeting rooms. Obviously, there's quite a big market as well to digitalize the room service experience. And on the back of that, it obviously seems a system that runs parallel to our systems. How are you planning on integrating it? And I'm just thinking of A, payment of like, could you charge a room account? And B, how does it work with stock management? If you order certain items, obviously you don't have to punch them in the POS for the order, but arguably you would need to do that for stock counting purposes and proper analysis within the hotel. Have you thought of entering the hotel market in that way as well?
Sure. So I got 3 questions there. So I'll try and take each of them in turn. So quickly on the room service, absolutely. We already have a feature which is doing something very similar. So it allows people to reserve a slot to enter the catering area in order to disperse crowds. And so we're actually already having conversations with hotels about repurposing that so that you could do room reservations, but also order food into the room. And that would either be through the customer's mobile phone, or another thing we do is self-service kiosks. So you can put essentially mini self-service kiosks in the room. In terms of integrations, so we do some integrations. So typically with the menu management system of the caterer and also their finance system. Often we don't need to do them with the point of sale because they're able to get rid of those. Directly to your question, yes, I think under the finance reconciliation, I'm not sure which system you use, but we would likely look to connect via an API such that you could take the money directly from the room account, which would be a much more efficient experience. And then finally, stock management. So I should just clear up that what I meant when you don't enter anything into the POS isn't that information is not captured. It's still captured, but it's already been captured because the customer built their basket. So already we know that item was ordered, and that is then it's a declining balance from the inventory, but that's done automatically. So the staff don't need to handle any of that. And there's 2 ways in which you can do inventory. Either it can be done through our solution where people use us as well as the menu management system, or what happens is some caterers have their own menu management and recipe system, and we link to that with an API such that any orders that are made on our system are also reconciled in that system so that they can see the declining inventory, and therefore they know when they need to purchase more recipes, etc. Does that answer your questions?
It does. I mean, obviously there's the interface, and not to sort of talk too much about it, but the interface part is often with application what creates a high cost and complication for hotel business to integrate it. So it's definitely something to focus on. The other thing just to focus on is how it's actually managed on the interface basis when it comes to updating the system. Something very important for hotels, that it doesn't look like a third-party app, but something that is part of your own offering. And then when it comes to updating of how easy it is for the hotel operator, you know, to change the offering on the application and amend things. I'm sure you've thought of it, but just that's one of the things that always comes up when we speak to any applications in the hospitality world, that you can easily manage it yourself rather than going through a request and you have to work on it and then it gets updated. So as much autonomy you can give to the operator, the better for the hotel world.
100%. And in our dashboard, we have the ability to change all of those inputs. So photos, product descriptions, allergens, nutrients, in real time. So you go in, it's incredibly intuitive. And as you change it and click save, it instantly publishes to the app. And so I feel like we should set you up with a demo offline so that I can show you all of this. And then also just quickly on the branding part, absolutely. We work with large enterprises, so branding is very important to them. And our solution enables them to ensure that their brand is on their app, but also that their individual clients, in the case of contract caterers who might have different client brands, also that they can be incorporated into the app as well. So again, there's some quite cool stuff we do around that I could show you sometime.
James.
Yes.
You obviously work. Do you want to say something about this?
Yeah. Maxwell and I already work together, and just to give you a bit of a, I'm sorry, I'm one of the dragons, but I'm going to give you a bit of a sell. We got this up and running within 2 weeks. So from start to finish of conversations to actually completing it live, it was remarkable. We did it in 2 weeks, I think, wasn't it, Maxwell?
Yeah, well, I mean, and I must say those 2 weeks were mainly, you know, you guys, because with us, we actually produced the app, do you remember, in 2 days. We signed the contract on the Friday and it was live on the App Store on the Monday. So it was very quick. It was very quick.
It was very quick indeed. And it's been phenomenal. And we've done done our work together to understand that, you know, we are a contract catering company and we needed to potentially have 100 different look and feel platforms amongst our portfolio of clients, and to be able to adapt those and give the autonomy to our on-site team to be able to amend and change, because every operation is very, very different, and it's got all of those capabilities. So we've implemented it in a number of our contracts already, and the uptake levels have been quite extraordinary, and the opportunity to upsell as well through the app is really good through the intuitive way in which people purchase, and it will give you reminders to say, you usually purchase this, why aren't you having it today, kind of thing. So there's a lot of functionality, and I think it really does, as Maxwell said, get the contract caterer orientated a lot more towards, you know, information that it can actually provide not only for its own business but also for our customer base. So
thanks, James. Catherine, do you want to say something before we?
Yeah, I did want to ask a quick question. So one was around the spend stimulation, but it was a question, Maxwell, on, by the way, it looks terrific. And having been part of launching an app within a brand, I can appreciate the complexities around it. So if you've simplified it, that's terrific. So one was on the spend stimulation. Can you talk about what customers have spent when they've ordered in person versus online? So do you see that it's more, and how do you integrate the loyalty piece to build in that spend stimulation? The other, you talked about all the delivery companies thinking about it from an operator standpoint. You've got orders coming in from the app. You've got orders coming in from Uber Eats, Deliveroo, Just Eat, plus people in the queue. How do you keep the customer experience exceptional for all of them?
I'll go in reverse order. So I think with the Deliveroo point, again, just to be clear on this, when I talk about home delivery, we're not doing that through the likes of Deliveroo or Uber Eats, because they're really actually the competitors to contract caterers. So what we do is we allow them to provide a delivery service which is in their brand, but it's powered by our technology. And so actually what I would say to you is, what we're actually trying to do is we're trying to not let Deliveroo or Uber Eats get into any of the catering sites, so that there is just one experience, which is our app, which is in the caterer's branding. And that's the only way in which they order, because it's sufficiently good that they don't need to go on to a Deliveroo or what have you. If they do go onto a Deliveroo, then at the moment, we're not integrated with the likes of Deliveroo. However, we do have a partnership with a company called City Pantry. And with City Pantry, they're really interesting strategy in terms of what they're doing. It's much more complementary to the contract caterers. So they're trying to go after meeting, event catering, and also out of hours catering as well. And that you can order City Pantry orders through the application. And that again really helps with that seamless joined up journey. The second one was average transaction value. So yes, loyalty is completely integrated, and pretty much any type of loyalty scheme you can think of, you can do that. And in terms of ATVs, it does depend on the site. There's a lot of different factors that go into this. Our main business case driver, so to speak, is that we're able to reduce operating costs. That's the main thing that we do. So essentially the way we think about this is we provide a better customer experience that's cheaper than a traditional POS. And any revenue uplift that we can drive is a bonus, especially during coronavirus. But we have seen some sites that have been able to get up to sort of 20% drive in ATV because those people are no longer going to the high street as often, and they're sort of staying on site more.
Brilliant, Maxwell. I'm going to have to stop you there. That was great. Thank you, Dragons. Thank you, Maxwell.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Sorry, quickly, Maxwell, there's a few questions in the Q&A you may just want to answer.
Yeah, can I just, yeah, so I'll be really quick. So Johnny Stevens, who...
Well, no, it's probably best if you write back to them.
Oh,
Yeah.
right back to them. Okay, I can answer them in about 30 seconds, but...
No. Sorry, we're running over time. Thank you so much.
All right, cheers, guys.
Sorry, I have to be...
No.
Debbie, if you could unmute yourself, please, and put your screen on. There you are. Hi.
Hi.
Debbie is from Fashionizer, and I'm going to hand you to the judges.
Good morning, everybody. We are a much more traditional company than the first presentation. We've been in business for 26 years, and pre-pandemic, our specialty was to design uniforms for bespoke hotels and some restaurants and some luxury brands retail. And we also make sustainable spa uniforms. And in the course of the development of our normal projects, we develop many of our fabrics, and we test a lot of our fabrics and our garments for performance. So the idea of fit for purpose leads into what we've done during the pandemic. Just to give you an idea of the kind of clients that we have in London, we did the designs last year for the Belmont Cadogan, the new opening. We did the opening for the Ned, which we still work with, which is 600 or 700 staff. So we did a complete package. So we design the uniforms, we manufacture the uniforms, and we deliver and fit everybody. So it's a very hands-on service. Our spa division is focused on sustainability because the hospitality industry is not quite there in terms of paying slightly more for sustainability. But because the cost of spa uniforms are not such a big expense, the difference between a sustainable product and a non-sustainable product is not that great. And we have spent the last 10 years looking at how we can improve our fabrics and our performance and our sustainable expertise. Now, why is that all important? Because when the pandemic hit, because we also trade internationally and we have clients everywhere from the Far East, in the US, everywhere. We saw the pandemic coming before others did. We work for Six Senses globally, and they have many resorts in Asia. And between the 1st and the 15th of March, we had £30,000 worth of orders cancelled. They just said, forget the order we placed, we don't want it anymore. We're closing our spas. And this follows on to the Middle East and then to Europe. So by the middle of March, we realized we had no business. So what we've done is we've used our fabrics and our expertise, and we started making face masks, fabric face masks. I had the benefit of having a good friend who's an epidemiologist who told me that fabric face masks don't work and the WHO doesn't recommend them. So I started researching about fabric face masks, and in March there was only one medical research that was done in 2013, which was published in the Lancet, done by Public Health England, which said that they were 50% as effective as medical masks. The other thing my friend told me is that everything to date had been tested with the view that the person wearing the mask had to be preventing the person wearing the mask infecting the patient. So all the medical development of masks was done with a view to operating theatres and environments that were sterile, and there was no testing done for general public environments. So in a way, this kind of explains the big argument that there's been about whether they have been effective or not. As time has gone on, there have been more and more medical research or quantitative research or public research, but on the 5th of June, the WHO changed its directive, and in that directive, it stated that hospitality should all be wearing face masks. Now, I've tried writing to the Prime Minister, nobody's listening, but I actually don't understand the logic behind the idea that you should be wearing a face mask when you go into a shop, but you shouldn't be wearing a face mask when you're serving hundreds of people in a cafe, or when you are serving, for instance, if I look at where Yanis is sitting, then the member of staff serving in that hotel will be bending over the client in order to give them their tea and coffee. And it's obvious that if you are breathing above your clients without any protection, you will be infecting them. We've gone a long way. We've actually got 10,000 masks in stock, with the hope that at some point the government will see reason, or if not, our clients will see reason, and our clients are starting to open. But in the course of developing that, we've also discovered that there are a few treatments available for fabric, some that prevent, that are equivalent of PPE. So PPE protects the wearer from the virus penetrating. It doesn't kill the virus. But there are some treatments, I've discovered 3, that you can treat fabrics with that actually kill the virus when the virus touches. What they do is they create an electrostatic shield on the fabric, and the virus, the minute it logs in, it's like it neutralizes it. And we've teamed up with a company called Panaz that some of you may know, that is they are a supplier of furnishing fabrics for hospitality and healthcare, and they can do any printed fabrics. Now here is my issue. We are not producing these unless we get orders, because it's 100% polyester, and we don't approve of working with polyester if we can help it. However, in terms of our sustainability credentials and our sustainability plans, those have been set back at God knows how long. But our campaign at the moment is to encourage people to use fabric masks and not disposable ones, because the one-time disposable ones are going to create such a mountain of plastic that will never biodegrade. And you can use our fabric masks or well-made fabric masks for between 30 and 50 times. So there's your saving on the environment. The last thing I will say is you should only wear them for 4 hours. So we have developed an operational solution for mainly for hotels, because hotels have indoor laundries, or they have contracts with laundries. So we have developed wash bags, which you can give each member of staff 2 wash bags, and in exactly the same way as they label the uniforms, they would label the wash bags with the name and 1 and 2. So each member of staff hands in their wash bags with their dirty masks at the end of the day. They're washed overnight, and the next morning they have a clean bag, and they wear the mask for no more than 4 hours. And once they take it off, they put it in a dirty bag. Because the other thing that is not mentioned anywhere, because it seems that there is a real problem in getting into details with the management of masks or anything to do with COVID. And like anybody who works in hospitality knows, the devil is always in the details. And if you don't pay attention to the details, whether it's in food production, I mean, we're all used to it. And the detail is that if you have a dirty mask that's got a virus on it and you put it down on a table, then you're infecting the table, you're infecting anybody who picks up that mask. So the whole management of masks has not been addressed, but I think we should all be wearing them, but we should also manage the way we wear them and how we put them on, how we remove them with clean hands, because that is why even places that are wearing masks are still finding that the virus is distributed, because there is nobody developing a culture of how to look after yourself in these circumstances. I think that's it for the moment, and I'm open to questions.
Maybe I start for the operations side. First of all, I'm 100% with you. I find it mind-boggling that so many hospitality businesses are opening without masks. It doesn't make sense to me. It seems to be common sense that you spread, that you spread the disease through, droplets, and a mask will do some good. So I agree with you, and I do hope there's going to be more guidelines. I would, though, protect all the hospitality businesses, because if there's no clear guidelines, you can't follow any clear guidelines. So it's really not up to the hotels to make the individual rules, but we need general guidelines. But I do agree with you that they're very useful. And at the Beaumont, for example, when we all reopen, we all will be wearing masks. I'm a strong supporter of that. The two things. One that you addressed is obviously the cleaning of the masks and the cycle of the mask, which I think is very important, because even if you have a mask, if you don't use it correctly, like so many other tools, it's not very effective. The other thing which I would mention is that one of the things which we struggle the most with is how do we keep the personal touch with somebody wearing a mask. And to be honest, I've seen so many pictures these days of beautiful masks, and the person looks incomplete if I don't see him smile. And it looks almost a little strange, you know they are smiling, but you can't see them smile. So one of the things I wanted to ask you is, A, have you thought of it? And B, we've been researching quite a bit on the topic, and there's a couple of companies, mainly out of mainland Europe, that work on sort of plastic material, but highly recyclable masks, where you can actually see people through the mask. They detach behind the ear or behind the head, and you would clean them. So you don't wash them in the washing machine, but you would wipe them with disinfectant wipes. And they have gotten accreditation within Europe. Is that something that you have considered, or to partially incorporate that?
Well, we've not looked at see-through, but we have looked at the Panaz we've looked at polyesters as versus to cotton, and there are now documents that say how masks should be constructed. In fact, the French, a company called AFNOR did it, and for a while our government had it on their website. They've now taken it off. I don't know why. But this document has tested all the various fabrics, and they've come to the conclusion that the best fabrics are either 100% cotton or majority cotton fabrics because of breathability. Then, first of all, you need 3 layers. So you need 2 fabric layers, 2 woven fabric layers, and 1 layer of a non-woven filter, which acts as a filter. There are many masks that have interchangeable filter. We feel that that's actually complicated in terms of the operation, and also contamination. And finally, if you wash it, and you have to wash it with agitation and soap. So in exactly the same way that you wash your hands with soap and you have to rub them, you can't just put your mask in a bowl of water and swill it around. That won't do anything. So far, all the testing has said that a cotton and majority cotton fabric is better. The finer the yarn, the better, because the virus penetrates less. And we've tested our masks. We had to send them to the US for testing because when we started, we sent them in April, there was no testing in Europe. Now there is. And our masks are, equivalent in terms of testing compared to a medical mask, they're 78% efficient. So if you think that the ones that they wear in hospitals that are glued to your face are between 95 and 99%, we are not at the same level, but actually those are for environments where the virus is swilling around all the time and prevalent. In general public, you have to be, there is a risk factor, and it's a bit like the lottery, you have to be unlucky to encounter it. So therefore, we feel that 78% is a good level of protection, but many of the masks that in the marketplace are not that, and the disposable masks, the paper ones, are actually not useful at all. I mean, the Times did a very good survey a couple of weeks ago, and they put a list of all the best masks, and they put the fabric, 3-layered fabric masks, which are made properly, somewhere as number 2 or number 3 in terms of the best thing you can get. It's not a good idea anyway to wear one of these masks that they would wear in hospitals for 2 reasons. First of all, you don't need that level of protection in general public. Secondly, it really, the main difference between a fabric mask and those masks is that there is no gap between the face and the mask. And that is to prevent any virus penetrating. But actually to work in a social environment, that's difficult. And as for the smile, our masks have a little metal wire inside, so they fit on the nose. And I know I've been walking with the mask, not recently, but when the danger was more, and you can smile, and you know, people have been talking to me and greeting me. So it is a limitation, but as far as I know, nobody has recommended that we use polyester because it's not breathable, and you need to be able to breathe naturally. And the other thing is, as you wash the masks, they get softer and they mold better to the face and they become more comfortable. There are 2 main objections from people wearing masks. One is that they feel that they can't breathe, so the breathability is very important. And the other is that they feel that they can't, that it inhibits their social interaction. But I think that is a matter of habit. And I think we've got another 6 to 8 months of this. And I'd rather that less people get infected than they worry about, you know, if they can smile properly. I mean, I really think that the danger is really big.
So, Chris, can I ask?
Yeah, please, Ramesh.
So, topic. 2 questions. Firstly, where are your masks made? And secondly, do they come with instructions? I mean, are they idiot-proof? Because most people I see on public transport, especially in buses, they seem to wear them upside down. They don't actually use the metal strip for the nose. And one doesn't know how to tell them, because I think people tend to get very upset as well.
Right. So our masks are made, some are made in London and some are made in Latvia, where we have a factory that we've worked with for 3 years. And actually, they have supported us because they have made the 10,000 masks on the assumption that when we sell them, we'll pay them for them. And we have used our existing spa fabric, which is sustainable, but has also a hydrophobic treatment on it, which is like a Teflon treatment. So it's not that it prevents any liquid going through, but it just adds extra protection. As for instructions, we've got a video on our website, which we've put, and we send, I don't know if you can see this. So we send with each mask a little instruction, which we've put separately, and there's a sticker on the packaging telling people how to wear it. But our kind of agenda is to sell into environment like hotels or companies so that we can provide some kind of training together with the mask, not just sell the product. But we're basically, our whole way of working is product plus service. So we'll continue to do that with what we've done. And also we've manufactured a mask that is our manufacturer said, couldn't you find an easier way of making it? And we said no, because Royal Jersey, that is one of the main laundry companies for the hospitality industry in London, have washed our masks 67 times. Now, I think that's excessive. I think you should change it after between 30 or 40 times, but the fact that it does last, and you know, so we're not sort of aiming at a general public, although we have an online site and we are selling online. Our strategy is exactly the same as we do with our uniforms, is to engage with existing clients and new clients and service them, because also we reckon that anybody who's buying our masks will need to replace them every 5 or 6 weeks, and they'll want the same masks again because they'll want continuity. We can also brand them. We've now found a way of producing printed fabrics which can have a design on them. I mean, I can show you some of the masks, but I didn't think that there was enough time to do that. But if anybody wants samples, please write to me and I'll be very happy to send you samples and more information.
No, thank you. Thank you. Chris, in fact, in India, you can get jewelers make masks with jewels on them to make the rich people feel normal.
Wow. That's a whole new world, Yanis. You might need jewels in your hotel. That's really wonderful. I appreciate that. Thank you, judges. The next business, Javier, if you could unmute yourself and come online. There you are. I'd like to introduce Javier from Zenio. And over to you.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Chris and EP team for putting this together. Thank you to all the judges for being here. I'll be sharing my screen. Just 1 second. I assume you can all see that. Well, we are Zenio. We are electrical manufacturer, and in terms of a bit of background, we provide control automation solutions or smart home solutions specialized in hotels. In numbers, to put the numbers, we've done over somewhere around 22,000 automated rooms, so 22,000 hotel rooms with our systems, plus anything related to hospitality, so restaurants, apartments, bars, pools, meeting rooms. And what makes our solution quite unique, or our hotel solution, which is what I will be saying today, is that it integrates with almost any other service in the hotel, any other application, any other hotel application, or any other third-party system. To run a bit of the numbers of Zenio, we are currently present in 117 countries, either as in the UK via a direct-owned branch, which is in the UK is Zenio UK, or via trusted partners who work with us. We have delivered over 12,000 projects in the 15-year history we have. And in terms of our market, our first market would be hospitality, being hotels, hotels being our flagship, then residential developments, and then commercial buildings, hospitals, and public building. So we focus in, as said, in hotels as our main market. What we provide is control automation solutions, or what could many times be called smart homes or smart buildings. And we like to call smart hotels when we speak about hotels. So we make hotels smart in a way. We focused in hotels some 8 years ago. We started focusing on them. And as said, now it's our biggest market and our main focus. So what we do is we control lights, blinds, AC. We bring all that together. Anything actually included as a mechanical or electrical installation, that's what we put together into central monitoring, and we automate some processes that happen in the hotel. And we focus in sustainability, guest experience and guest comfort, and building management. And we like to present our solution in different stages. The first one being the room control, the control of the elements that are part of the room. Access control, which we can either integrate with third-party access control, or we have our own access control. Guest room management system, which would be a central monitoring system to control all the rooms. Then we go to control of the common areas in the hotel, as I said before, pools, restaurants, anything that's part of the control or the amenities areas in the hotel. We also have app control. And again, we can have this directly through our own app or integrated in third-party apps. Integration, as I've been saying, is probably our main strength, that we are able to integrate with any other system in the hotel as long as they are happy to integrate with us. And remote support, which is something we've learned over the years, is something we have to provide in hotels. In terms of room control, as I said before, we can control almost any mechanical and electrical installation in the room. That's from HVAC, or climate control, AC, radiators, underfloor heating, lighting, shutters, blinds, the access control, audio systems. We can monitor energy, which is really important in hotel environments, or actually in any building environment. Since which we're just bringing all that together to being able to not turn on each light individually, for example, but just have something that turns everything off. And then what defines our hotel solution is the fact that we can control room occupancy, and we've been working on this for some 7 years now. This is installed in approximately 60 to 70% of the rooms of the hotels we actually do. What this means, and what is really, really useful for hotels, is actually knowing whether there's somebody in the hotel room. So this allows the hotel to define automation policies, whether depending on whether the room is occupied or not, plus then whether the room is sold or not, if it's sold that day, or if it's actually checked in, and that is to do with automation. And also do not disturb and make up my room signaling, which again, we can either use our own system or integrate with third-party systems or third-party apps. We have an access control that's compatible with mobile keys and card keys. This, for example, to be used in combination with online checking. This would allow a customer to go into the hotel, check in online, get a key in his phone, and directly access his room with his mobile phone. No need to go through reception if that's not needed for any reason, late checking, things like that. And they can be used at the same time. So you could have the mobile key and a card key if you actually want to provide a physical key to your customer. The guest room management system would be the central part of the system, which provides, this is meant to be installed at a reception desk, but it also allows to define different roles. So housekeeping, management roles, maintenance roles, and it gives you an overall control of the building. So room control, common areas control, energy monitoring, maintenance. If an AC unit breaks or leaks, or there's any issue with that requires maintenance, you can have that monitored in a central computer, and that information sent to the relevant maintenance team. And also it allows you to define room policies, such as what do you want to happen in the hotel room when the room is left, so when the room is empty or when the room is not sold. We also control common areas, HVAC, lighting, shutters, everything in the common areas or the amenities areas in the same way that it would be done in the room. It can be done with the common areas. We also have an app control we develop ourselves, but again, we can have this integrated into a third-party system or third-party app. And this is meant to provide room control to the user. This has proven to be, with the actual COVID situation, a game changer for us, as this is already installed in the system. It's just a matter of activating it or not. If you didn't require this in the past, but you have our system installed, we can activate this remotely. And with the COVID, this has allowed to reduce touch points in the room by because the guest can actually control everything in the room through his mobile phone. And of course, as said, the management can decide whether it works if the user is in the room, only if the user is in the room, or whether he has left the room. And it can be used in combination with third-party systems, so integrated within third-party applications. API is, again, our main strength. This is integration within different systems in the hotel. PMS, just to mention, we are currently, as per last week, we are integrated with 119 different PMSs. So we can connect with all the other systems and applications and softwares in the hotel, as long as they also provide API, which is more and more common every day. So we can make them all work together and share information. In terms of how we approach the projects, we have a design team meant not to work individually, but meant to work with your designers, your consultants, your architects to meet your specifications and help provide a solution for a control solution. And we also have a dedicated remote support team for projects, which is a full team dedicated to hotel projects, to make sure everything actually works in the hotel and to have access remotely to the hotel systems. The solution is based on a standard protocol or language called KNX, which is, there are currently over 500 manufacturers of KNX products. And we combine that with IP networking, so just Ethernet connection. And of course, the opportunities of API integration, which I mentioned before, is very important for us because it allows us to combine all the systems in the hotel, all the different systems, and to bring them together. Sustainability is, as I mentioned before, one of our main focuses. And just because when you look at a hotel in a sustainable way or a building, it's all benefits. It allows to reduce energy waste, reduce CO2 footprint, reduces running costs, and of course, keeps customers happy because everybody wants to be eco-friendly these days, and that's actually very important for us. So being able to provide this information, not only to the management team, but also to the guests in the hotel room has proven to be very important for us. And well, in terms of the products, I did say at the beginning we are a manufacturer, so we manufacture all the products, not only the switches, which are actually not a very important part of the solution. So we work with any switch. For example, if you have either high-end brush finished switch you want to have in your hotel, or more budget plastic switch, we can work with that. And of course, we provide a full range of customizable products, which meet almost every design. But as said again, we can work with any other switch in the market. Our solution actually is what is installed in the electrical board, which is much less interesting, and which is why I'm not showing it today. But the solution, the heart of the solution, is actually invisible to the customer. Our commitment is to provide support to the hospitality industry all over the world. And as I already said, we are currently present in 117 countries with teams or proper senior-owned brands in over 12 countries. That's in Europe and South America. And that will be all. I will give this back to the judges. I think I've exceeded my time quite a little bit, so sorry about that. Do you have any question?
Thank you, Javier. Yes, judges, any questions? Yanis, it might be ticking a few boxes you.
Well, congratulations. It seems a very all on sort of on incorporating systems, lots of different aspects that you cover. I like the fact that you vertical integrate most of the things, that you manage the whole solution yourself. Is it, when you say that you control lighting throughout the entire resort, is that linked to a wireless system, or how do you connect these different spots with one another?
Yeah, so no, it's not wireless, and we've seen, well, this goes a bit into KNX itself, which is the system, but I'm not trying to stay away from that. It's all wired. We've seen wireless system tend to fail, and they usually require, whether if it's Wi-Fi, you require a very strong Wi-Fi network. If the network goes down, then you're dead. So, and the strength of our solution, it's not ours, fully ours, in terms of that. KNX is a full system. It's an open protocol system with a lot of manufacturers, based on wired systems. So it's all wired, and we found that to be the only way to make really robust solutions that will work seamlessly of whatever happens on the network. So the good thing here is, if your network in the hotel network dies for whatever reason, the rooms are still working, the access control still works. So everything is still working independently from the network or from whatever Bluetooth, if there is an interference on RF systems, that fails a lot as well. So we keep it all wired.
Yeah, I wanted to ask that. We find that wired solutions are obviously more costly and more difficult to install, but once you have them, they're much more reliable than anything that goes over the air. The other only comment I would give is that what we find clients say often, obviously you have a broad range of clients, and some are very comfortable using touch screens or smaller written notes, and then some people just want a light switch, you know, that they can turn off and on, or an air conditioning that is very simple. So I think it's always good to have the option with these systems for hotels, even if the technology is behind the scenes, to make the interface as easy as possible, because we find often hotels clients, you know, hotels get really excited about the tech solutions, and then clients get very confused using it.
Yeah, we want to refer that to that as, and we like to refer to our solution as mother-in-law proof, because so you can actually have the regular switch, common switch, just light on and off, and so we can work with that, and we can, and our solution is just behind that, and nobody actually sees the difference in the hotel. Just to mention, because my mother went not to one of our hotels, actually one of our competitors in Spain a couple of weeks ago, and we are refurbishing a house for ourselves with most of this included. When my mother came out of the hotel and said, "I'm not putting this in my house," and I said, "No, wait, I'm going to show you how this works, how it's going to work, and you'll see it's got nothing to do." We try to keep it as less tech as possible in the guest side, so they don't actually see something really complicated going on. We try to always keep it very simple, and that has proven to be the only way to go with hotels. You cannot explain hotel guests how something works in the room. They just want to go and turn on the light, and that should be easy enough.
And are you targeting mainly developments, or are you refitting a lot of hotels? Because obviously, once all the walls and ceilings are closed, rewiring whole infrastructures are a challenge. So do you find yourself working a lot with developments actually to build it into the infrastructure?
So actually, I would say we are currently 50-50. Both refurbishment and of course developments are easier because it's predefined that it's going to have a completely wired solution. We are currently developing some wireless solution, RF, not meant to work for everything, but for some parts. If there's something where you cannot actually wire in a refurbishment, it makes sense to have a wireless solution. Even if it's just for a couple things in the room or a couple of spots in the building. But right now, I would say we are both refurbishments and developments in a 50-50 basis, more or less.
Thank you. Good luck. Great company.
Thank you very much.
Because you're very, very quiet, and I'm not used to that. Paragon Hospitality is doing great things with a variety of projects. Any comments?
I'm just taking it all in, Lauren, this morning. No, I mean, I love it all, and Javier, I think it's, you know, in hotels, it's I always refer to the Me in London, which
that's ours.
The first night I spent there, I spent about the first 3 hours trying to work out how to get the lights on and off, because I almost had a party going on in the room. But you know, I suppose from my perspective, looking at what you've talked about, and it's very good, but there's no mention in terms of the total guest experience of the food and beverage element, whether it's downstairs at the bar, whether it's in the restaurant, whether it's at the entrance, and more importantly at the moment, whether it's actually in the room itself. And I know we're under a lot of sort of COVID responses at the moment in terms of what we can and can't put into certain rooms. But we're coming up with our own sort of unique ideas that we're sort of hand putting in and servicing at the moment, and using various different elements to get there. But it would be interesting to know if there is something in the future linked to technology, that we're going to go back to the good old standard sort of minibar that actually is of a handheld type device, so that they can actually use it and enjoy it.
Yeah, so actually, what with food and beverage, what we do is, because our focus is just another thing. It's more in terms of the control of the building. So we leave that to people such as Dynamify, for example, and we try to integrate with them in the ways, if there's a way to make that possible, which many times is.
Fair enough, absolutely. Well, that's brilliant. Thank you, Javier. You are perfectly on time. If I could please just ask Anthony if you wouldn't mind unmuting yourself and turning your video on.
So thanks for that. I'll be leaving you now.
Hold on.
Anthony. I'm just helping him from this side. There you are. Hi, Anthony. Welcome. Anthony from Liquid.line. We'll leave you with the judges.
Good morning, everyone. Just a quick introduction to myself. So I'm Anthony, one of the directors at Liquid.line. Clearly, listening to everybody, it's obvious that recent events have forced each and every one of us to innovate in the supply chain, right from the very conception of a product or a service right through to delivery. I guess we all know that man has an innate ability to improve their circumstances and to adapt to change. And for me, that's clear right across the spectrum. You see innovation on every hand, really. I suppose what we've also seen as well is those that are quick to adapt and innovate, and those that are slow, and the relative success and failure that brings accordingly. For me today, I'm wanting to talk about some of the innovations that we have available in our business. COVID-19 has put immense strain on those that are responsible for the safety and care of our workforce, which is predominantly where we feature. It's caused us to look at every touch point down to the last degree, to scrutinize every area, every high volume area in particular, so door handles, printer buttons, coffee, water machines, biometric devices. The list is endless. Considerations around how to eliminate and to reduce to the barest minimum, they're absolutely critical. We're advising business leaders on what they can to ensure a safe and sustainable return to work program, which is a debate and a topic that's that everyone's thinking about right now. On the flip side, I guess something that Chris and I have been discussing for a while now is the part that a quality coffee can have in enticing the employee back to the workplace. Many have had a long stint of working from home or being on furlough, especially as most companies are concerned to provide in the workplace rather than letting their employees explore the high street offer to minimize risk. So essentially keeping the employee in the workspace once they're there. We've developed, as some of you may be aware, we've developed a range of touchless options. So coffee machines that can be operated using an app or using proximity sensitive technology. We have a range of water and juice machines and options that can be operated similarly. Some with more basic options such as foot pedals, that kind of thing. We've had a massive upsurge in demand for these type of innovations, and we've got great solutions for lots of different applications, sectors right across from education to offices to car retailers, all have slightly and varied needs. And I think what we're seen to be doing is working with each individual to come up with the best solution. We've also done a piece around room service in hotels. Many of you may have seen the article that Chris published a few weeks ago, which said that 56% hope that room service will noticeably be improved in its breadth and quality. Given this, it's logical that many hotels do start to consider the machines and services they offer within the bedrooms, as it could well make a difference to the customer's stay. So again, we've been working on some great innovations around machines that can provide great coffee with minimal maintenance and, most importantly, a very small footprint. As a result of COVID-19, we've seen a rise in inquiries for equipment that can be located away from main tea points. So we've been, again, seen an upsurge in requests for smaller standalone coffee and water machines to help eliminate congestion in main tea point areas. We've partnered with a space optimization specialist who can assist in revised space planning and incorporating these new measures into existing workspaces. What this has really given us is further autonomy in being able to give an all-embracive service to our clients, which we feel today is absolutely key, because we see that clients are wanting to get more from existing supply base. In our field, another large debate is around crockery. So many companies have been used to using good quality reusable crockery in the workplace, especially with a view to trying to eliminate single-use plastics, single-use cups. I think the question as to whether we revert back to that may seem like a backward step to many, but there are many great initiatives around recycling and compostable versions, which I'm sure a lot of you will be familiar with. However, I think we aside from innovation, collaboration, I think those two, innovation and collaboration, work hand in hand. So we have an informal collaboration with Cup Club, who many of you may well be aware of, but I feel that they have a unique concept of whereby they deliver and collect a reusable cup. So they will deliver a number of cups into the workplace in the morning and collect the cups from the day before. So we have a great partnership with them, whereby we work very closely with our existing clients to offer their services. So I really feel that that's got some mileage when considering these current issues. As with many companies, we've had to adapt. So clearly, a lot of companies are considering now the return to work. So a large part of our business is formed around the consumable supply, and we've had to, or not had to, but we've added a return to work sanitization piece to our consumable offer. So I really feel that along with with signage and sanitizer stations, and all of this kind of thing is absolutely critical to remind us all in the importance of strict hand hygiene in areas of unavoidable touch points. We're currently talking to all of our clients about ensuring that they have something in place in all tea point and refreshment locations, and we have a number of solutions that fit in well with our current offer. We've also put together a return to work pack that can be given to each individual, can be left on their desks in view of the return to work, as a way really of making them feel cared for and being used as a sign of the employer's commitment to taking the return to work process seriously. That really gives a very brief overview of some of our key innovations that we've been working on. Our founder and MD, Gavin Pooley, is a great believer in innovation, keeping us at the forefront of our industry. And I think we've really proven that in these last 2 to 3 months. It's really kept us talking to, it's really opened the doors and kept us talking to some great people. So look, with that, I'll try and answer any questions if there are any.
Amazing, thanks. James.
Anthony, thank you very much indeed. Can you just explain a little bit more? I'm interested in the touchless coffee machines, the technology that's used, how they work. I can see them adapting very cleverly into some of the challenges we have within our industry. Can you just explain it a little bit further?
Yeah, for sure. I'd be glad to do that. I do have a very short video, which I did wonder if that might come up. So if it's okay, I'll play that now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good idea. Good idea.
That probably does it better than words.
Okay. Just talk through that. Anthony, can I just quickly talk? Yeah.
Sorry, Lauren, you just cut out there.
Sorry. I said, do you want to just quickly talk us through the video just to explain what we thought?
Yeah, sure. So as you saw there, so the app basically connects to the coffee machine. It's fully customizable and personable to that particular machine and reflects only what is available on that machine. So we can lock it down as much or as little as our clients want. You can, for example, you can have you can make your coffee fatter, longer, stronger, hotter. So there's a huge amount of customization that you can that comes with the app development, or you can lock it down so that you can simply just select a cappuccino, for example, and that's what you get. So as I referred to, the touchless proximity technology, that's available on some of our other kit, whereby you literally go up to the machine as before and select the drink by waving your finger over the icon of the particular drink that you would like, and you don't actually even need to touch the screen itself. So that's, to be honest, I think that technology is the best, in as much as it doesn't actually require the employee or whoever, the user, to take the phone out of the pocket, find the app, then select the drink, which is still quite a clunky process when, you know, staff have been used to just going up to the machine and selecting the drink that they want.
Joyce, you want to say something? Sorry.
Yeah, I wonder, you talked about like collaborations, for example, with Cup Club. Do you also do collaborations on the one hand side with companies like, for example, Costa, that have their own machines in like petrol stations, and then you deliver the technology and you work under, sort of like licensed under Costa? And on the other hand, if you don't, or if you do, is all the liquids from your own liquid, or would you also, for example, collaborate with, say, I don't know, Double Dutch and a gin and tonic on tap, and then sell that, either that machinery or technology, to a brand like Double Dutch? Or would you then, so what is like what's the liquid itself, and what's the collaboration potential to it?
Sure. So thank you for your questions. Collaboration for us as a business is absolutely critical, and it plays a fundamental part of our business. It's an age-old joke as to whether our machines offer gin and tonic. So for sure, we'd love a collaboration with Double Dutch, 100%. Maybe we take that conversation offline. As regards Costa, so they very much have everything very kept tight within their brand and what they offer. But we develop our own brands for our clients. So we do have a number of forecourt clients whereby they may have found that the Costa rebates and so on are too costly and don't work for them because they're not a big enough group or whatever it is. And we'll work with those individuals to create a brand and absolutely make it a customizable experience for that particular client.
And on that as well, are your most main customers, are those the catering companies, or like more the offices directly, like for example you do a deal with WeWork directly, or more with B2B individual companies that put 1 or 2 machines into their offices?
Yeah, so all of the above. And that's the trouble with coffee, because everyone has to have coffee, in my view at least. So yes, we work directly end to end with B2B clients. We work through contract caterers. We work through FM companies. We work, really in all streams. So very flexible from that perspective.
Great.
Sorry, Yanis, you were going to say something, I think. The last question.
Yes, thank you so much, Chris. I just wanted to make 2 general comments. I think it's really encouraging and great of how you put the comfort of the employee in the current situation to the forefront. I think that hospitality businesses talk about it a lot, but can even talk about it more. I think that we shouldn't underestimate on how worried or fearful or insecure people feel today about coming back to work, and we should really have the same measures for them than we have for our clients. The other thing which I sort of want to respond to is that this whole element of sustainability, I think now more than ever is important. And to me, there is no either or. I think the whole change of climate and the current crisis that we're in, this is a little crisis compared to the climate change that is going on, and Corona will pass, but the climate change is advancing rapidly. So I think, and I like what Debbie said about this as well, I think it's so important that we don't forget the bigger problem over this temporary problem, as severe and harmful it is to so many of us. So I think any solution to mitigate this crisis needs to be sustainable, because it doesn't just work otherwise.
Absolutely agree.
Sorry, Adam, to bring you in here.
Yeah, just a quickie. You got me at the end, Anthony, in terms of the video and so forth. Are the machines that you've got, are you actually installing those, or have you got them already installed in workplace canteens and diners in large hotels at the moment?
Yes, absolutely. Yep. So that they are already installed and being installed and taking orders for. Yeah.
Okay. It might be interesting to follow up a bit later then.
Catherine.
Thank you.
Sorry, you're on mute at the moment.
Yeah. On the sustainability play, what's being done with the coffee grounds? Because there's so many wonderful uses for the coffee grounds, and are you working with all these companies to take those grounds to be able to utilize those in different ways, or encouraging them to do so?
Yes, thanks, Catherine. Absolutely. So we work with BioBeam, who you may have heard of. So again, a completely closed loop situation with them. So they as I'm sure you're familiar, they take the coffee grounds. They work particularly with all of the major waste collectors in London and major cities across the UK. They're slowly expanding their network. They started in London about 3 or 4 years ago, and I think they're now in Reading, Manchester, and probably a number of others as well, but I'd have to confirm exactly. But they have a big processing plant in Cambridge, and they take the grounds and make all sorts of things out of them. Namely, as well, they also make coffee logs, which are then used to re-roast some of our coffee. So it's actually, as I said, a complete loop. So that's absolutely something, particularly for our larger clients with 200 staff and above, where the coffee waste is significant. A lot of clients don't actually realise that if you split the coffee waste out of general waste, which is what it normally goes into, there is a cost saving for them. So it is absolutely something that we're talking to our clients about and making them aware of.
I was just going to say there's a great opportunity here because with offices going back to work, say in September after the holidays, after a difficult commute, the last thing we want is our people queuing up at Pret a Manger or Starbucks and then coming in. So, and once they're in, we don't want them to go out for the duration. So it's in terms of the food, the delivered in model and your coffee, as long as it's a great coffee, I think there's a great opportunity there.
Yeah, look, Ramesh, you know my thought on this. Naturally, I'm going to agree with you. It's very interesting. I have a large client that I'm talking to currently, and they currently have powdered milk coffee machines in their offices right now, and they're considering our machines from a touchless perspective, and they're still debating over whether they go for powdered milk over against fresh milk. And I'm very much encouraging them to go down the fresh milk route, because I'm saying if you're making an investment, why would you not go with the best if the whole emphasis on what you're trying to do is to show that your staff that you're putting these new measures in place to keep them safe, but you're giving them an inferior product, in which case you risk then staff still going out to Pret's or indeed their local coffee house, and you're putting them into an area of risk in terms of infection. So yeah, I couldn't agree more.
And I'm also on a mission to save my colleagues money.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Ramesh. Every cent does count. Anthony, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us. Damien, could I ask you please to unmute and switch your, there you are. Damien is from, yes, you can hear you loudly. And I will leave you with the judges.
Okay, let me just get my screen share sorted. Okay, just loading up the presentation. Right, okay, can you all see that all right?
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, morning. My name is Damien Chapman and I'm the Sales Director of Thirsty. Thirsty itself is the new way to order and pay for food and beverages in hotels, restaurants, events and stadia. Thirsty enhances the customer experience by giving the customer the control for paying for food and beverage from the safety of their mobile device. It is also important to remember that Thirsty is not just a COVID fix, it is a long-term business tool that will help streamline operations, grow revenues and pioneer new innovations and unlocking hidden revenue pockets. Thirsty gives customers the confidence to spend at your venue. So, with regards to Thirsty, as we say, as a result of the COVID pandemic, the world has probably moved forward 5 years in about 4 months. And staff and customers will need to know that their safety is taken seriously on there. And so with regards to the actual the investment in technology, cash is obviously the biggest germ carrier, and so therefore cashless would be the new way forward, and prepaying will become the norm. The solution will work for all and is very versatile. So with Firsty, taking you back to the beginning, Firsty was originally conceived as an idea for table service at hospitality black tie events. Myself and the 3 other directors involved with Firsty, we all used to have previous businesses, and we used to take clients out to these events, black tie events, in order to reward them for their loyalty, but not only that, also to try and build more business connections. But what we found is when the drinks at the table were down to, well, none left, we would look at the bar, and the table runner, unfortunately, would be nowhere to be seen, but we'd look at the bar and it'd be 4 deep, and you think, oh my, I can't be bothered to queue. So with that in mind, not only did the venue lose out on revenue, the customer experience is poor. And what Firsty was originally going to do, it was going to provide a table service application that will send orders to the bar to provide drinks to the table. The people hosting that table then don't have to leave the conversation, so therefore not missing out on potential business or new contacts. And the experience for the venue is that there'd be no queues at the bar. Now, with regards to Firsty's journey, after speaking to several industry experts, the Firsty journey has evolved quite considerably, and we are now looking at room service, table service. We can cater for events, and we can also cater in stadias. So Firsty has gone from being a nice to have in this current climate to probably a need to have. So our solution is a web-based application that provides the user with a full table and room service solution for food and beverages at that venue. It's web-based for speed and efficiency, so there's no need to download another app onto your phone and then spend 15 minutes inputting all your data, registering, and therefore not overloading your phone and its memory. A web-based application also allows us to seamlessly integrate with your EPOS and existing payment gateways through the use of APIs. From the customer point of view, the experience is very smooth and fluid, and all they need to do is simply scan the QR code, which would be situated on their table or in their room, using the camera on their phone to order and pay. Now, if they haven't got a smartphone that's able to read a QR code, then there would be a tiny URL sat under the QR code that they'd be able to put into their web browser. Now, I'm just going to play you a short video. And for those of you that have smartphones, you may want to get them out now. There will be a QR code that you can test scanning with your camera, and that will take you onto the Firsty website.
COVID-19 has changed the way we live our lives, and we are now becoming more COVID secure. Protecting our health is now more important than it ever has been. No longer will we be using items handled by other people, queuing will be avoided, social distancing the new normal, and physical cash will be a thing of the past. But Firsty has a solution for your hotel and hospitality business to make your guests and customers feel safe and happy when ordering their food and drinks. Using the safety of their own phone, they can scan a QR code at their table, on the TV in their room, or anywhere they would like to order. You can browse, order, and pay, with no need to queue at a bar or even handle cash. And this all seamlessly integrates into your current EPOS and payment gateway systems. Firstly, the online table and room service solution, keeping your guests safe and happy.
So along with seamlessly integrating with your EPOS and payment gateways, Firstly is also white label, meaning the only brand customers will see is yours. This slide takes you through the initial process of the application. The sequences have been shortened. So what we've got at the beginning is where the camera, obviously they open the camera on their phone, and then into the confirmation of age. So the title screen where you have your own branding. This is the Grand Hotel in York. And it just confirms that they are over 18 years of age and confirm. Then it takes them into the options. So do they want table service? Do they want room service? Then before they reach the menu options, there will be an allergy notice. The venue's allergy notice will come up before. Then they'll go into the actual menu and input their room or table number, and they'll be presented with the drinks and food and snacks menus that are in line with the EPOS system. On here, you'll be able to select the drinks that you want, add a mixer, add a size of drink, half or pint, and then on the food, be able to select your food. Now what you see here, where's my mouse gone? There it is. Here you have the featured menu. This is where you'll be able to put in your promotions. This will be able to be where you put the upsell of premium products, therefore helping to grow revenues and push people in the direction that you want them to order. Then the second is checkout. Here you can add, people will have the ability to add a tip, or there'll be a trade charge. Either of those can be selected to be live or not. There's underneath the trade charge, there is a note where people can put in, oh, please, can you remove the cheese off the cheeseburger, or things alike. Then there's then they enter their email address. The email address is then captured for the marketing purposes of the venue. And they choose their payment method. They can use Apple Pay, Google Wallet, or any debit or credit card. Now, once they've selected the payment, if it's debit card or credit card, they can either take a scan of the credit card without them having to manually enter, or if they prefer, they can manually enter their details. Now, with regards to the email address, immediately after the payment is taken, the client will get a VAT receipt emailed directly into their inbox. So what are the added values? For the venue, firstly, will increase sales. Guests get what they order, as it's a digital menu updated by your EPOS, which saves the awkward conversation with the client of not having any, for example, lamb left or beef. And as we integrate with your existing payment gateways, payments are made immediately. Firstly, can be used to upsell premium products, provide a streamlined service, and works on any internet-enabled device. From the customer point of view, it's easy to use. It provides instant access to a digital food and drink menu, meaning no need for disposable menus or any hard copies menus whatsoever. Accepts all forms of payment, no storage space is required, and again works on any internet-enabled device, and receipts are emailed directly to the client. Firstly, it will provide confidence to both customers and staff in regards to being COVID secure by providing social distancing with a complete non-contact experience. It's white labelled, so it's your brand, not ours. It seamlessly integrates with the venue's EPOS and payment portals, making it easy for everything to be communicating electronically. Venue has complete editorial control of content and pricing, as it lines up with your EPOS. There's huge upselling opportunities for promotions and premium products, and easy to use for both venue and customer. Firstly, thank you. Is there any questions?
Brilliant. Thank you, Damien. If we take you off screen share, there we are.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. Yanis, this is, again, in-room ordering, something I know it's close to your heart. Any questions or comments?
I think the integration part, again, is the interesting bit, just to understand if somebody, let's say, sit in room 120, and they would put their name and the room number, does the system interface with, let's say, Opera to make sure it's actually the guest, like if the guest puts the wrong room number by whatever, you know, reason, or somebody sits in the lobby and says, I'm actually playing fools and I'm in room 120, but I'm not. Like, is that integrated with your operating system to verify it's the guest that's ordering is actually the guest and it's in the right room? And secondly, once an order is submitted, will that come up on my Micros terminal before it goes to the kitchen, or does it print out in the kitchen directly? And what's the control that we have over that process?
With regards to your first point, it wouldn't interact with the actual automatically note, like with the name. What it takes is it takes the room number that the customer inputs, and then they would be able to go, if they realised that they've actually put in the wrong room number, they would be able to go back and edit that order. But with regards to, it does integrate with Opera using Symphony, tagging onto Symphony if you use Symphony at all. And with regards to the macro system, then it would, when the order itself is placed, the drinks will go to the bar and the food will go to the kitchen.
So it will print the check directly?
Yes, it can do, yes.
Okay.
Good. Adam, your thoughts on this?
Oh, you're on mute.
You're on mute at the moment. Yep,
I'm sure you all prefer me on mute as well. James, nothing from you, please. Look, this is the technology, you know, and this is what today's about. This is what is required, I think, in hotels, and it is about getting the ease. I think the difficult part for all technical entrepreneurs that are coming into this market is making sure that the guest experience, whether it's in a bar, a restaurant, or in the hotel, is looked at from the guest's perception from start to finish, because there's nothing more irritating than a guest ordering something and then finding out it's either not being delivered or so on and so forth. And I think there's elements that every hotel has to work with in terms of the food element going to the kitchen, the drink element going to the bar. Then how do you make sure that that's going back to the room on the same tray, so that you're not sending up two people, you know, costing, you know, up to the 9th floor with two different trays, which is an inconvenience for a hotel operator or an outsourced operator. It's far more of an inconvenience for the guest if they open the door once to get their drink and then 10 minutes later they then get their food. So I think there's elements of operational bits that have to be plastered, but the actual tech side of it is definitely here to stay now, and I think it's going to be one that evolves over the next months. It's already evolved very quickly in the last umpteen weeks, and it's becoming an expectation. I think, as Damien alluded in his presentation, this isn't really a debate anymore. It's a given. You know, it's more about putting that solution into practice.
And Ramesh, you know, law firms eventually will, and offices will eventually come back. Lots of in-office meetings, being able to order, you know, coffees for guests and whatnot as you want. Do you think that this is an application that could be something for the future?
Oh, I think so. I think it's like everything else. We'll have to adapt. There is no choice in that matter. I mean, we're not going to go back to this idea of having and I think even in terms of meetings, whether we actually have those meetings or not. But then you're going to open up a whole new debate about what's life going to be like. But I don't think
we've been doing that the last week, so that's an interesting one.
But I just wanted to ask you, I mean, can you, is there a fail-safe system? I mean, can I be mischievous and say that since Lauren is in the same hotel in room 240 and pretending to be extra fit and always sort of running around, if I order 4 pizzas for her, Yeah, and they end up with a bill.
Yeah, no, basically what would happen is where the payment is taken when the order is placed. So it would be, if you've ordered 4 pizzas, then you would still be being charged for those 4 pizzas.
They'll be delivered to her.
They'd be delivered to her, but you would have paid for them.
Okay, that's fine. I don't mind that.
That's very kind. Damien, thank you. That's fantastic. Really appreciate your presentation. Chris, I think that's everybody. I wonder.
Well,
if
actually,
we
I think as we go towards the end, it'd be interesting to get the judges' views on what they've heard. If we can, be interesting. Catherine, should we start with you?
Yeah.
Sure. Well, thank you to all of the presenters. Really terrific to see the innovation that's happening. And whether it's existing businesses, it feels like I haven't heard any startups. It's all scale-ups. And so it's how can we help to scale them up? So that would be probably the one thing to take away, to say, what are the 3 things that we can do for each of them? And tell us what that is. Because as Ramesh had mentioned, there may be connections that we have or introductions that we can make, or I focus on marketing and customer experience. What are things that we can be adding ourselves as well? That's how can we help to move it forward? I think that would be the main takeaway I would have right now.
And all the presentations you listened to, was anyone which particularly stood out for you?
Well, I think as it was just mentioned, many of these things are here to stay. There's no question mark as to whether those are a goer or not, whether it's the masks, which are certainly right now. I don't know how long the life of masks will be, but certainly none of us know. So invest in it. So I think they all touch me in a different way. I think the final one, which is probably me more just coming along, is when checking into a hotel and downloading an app, for example, just for that short period of time. And then when I leave, I remove it, because I think of all the apps I have on my phone, and are we just in time downloading apps and then just in time removing them? Is everyone there? And it may just be where I am in life, whether or not that's happening.
Thank you, Catherine. Joyce?
Yeah, I thought it was super interesting to see that there's so much digitalization and so many new solutions that all these businesses already were doing before COVID that has accelerated demand massively since COVID. So kudos to everybody who kind of already suspected these kind of developments. I think it's interesting. From like a product, because I'm so much more into products, so much less in services. It's interesting to see how there's so many different types of applications that have some kind of overlap with each other. And I think it would be interesting to see whether, for example, the first pitch and the last pitch, do they see themselves as competitors against each other? Or is there like opportunities for them to collaborate, to offer even more value to the hospitality, because they are very much in the same kind of space, pitching to a similar type of customer, offering similar type of products, but then with their own USP. So I think for me, that's really interesting to see and see what the opportunities are there. I think for me personally, it would be amazing to see whether we could do a collaboration with mouth masks. Is there like an opportunity on the one hand side to focus more for us, for example, on offering, I think for us with us having so much on-trade customers, POS is always important. Maybe there's an opportunity that we work together with fashionizers, seeing whether we can create POS material from like a double Dutch to hospitality aspect, where it's support from a brand perspective rather than going directly to the hospitality. And then I think, yeah, the same with like the coffee machines and everything that you don't need to touch. Yeah, to minimize touch points is really interesting. I think for us that there's a lot to learn on that aspect because it's so different for like a product-based company. So I think that's really interesting to see if there's maybe like collaboration possible. And I think it would be also interesting, I think we haven't really talked a lot about like the marketing aspect and how you really bring these there's a lot of education for consumers and guests necessary in these applications. How do you really bring that forward? How do you, I think guests want to come to hotels to relax. They're not really there to necessarily want to be educated on how to turn on the air conditioning and the lights in a really cool technology manner. So I would, I think that's an interesting point that I didn't necessarily hear, is how do you find that balance on making it really customer friendly while still really bringing a strong innovation to your guests.
Good, thank you, Joyce. I have to say, I do like the idea of double Dutch on the coffee machine. I mean, downloaded it.
In the office.
In the office, yeah. Yanis, your thoughts?
My thoughts, I think in general, I loved all the presentations. I think there's some fabulous companies, and I'm sure that, you know, a lot of people on the call will follow up with the individual companies to see of how these things can be integrated into their businesses. I think one thought in general about technology, I think often we don't realize how quickly it actually goes. I mean, the beginning of the 20th century, I think the Wright brothers started to fly 1903, and 60 years later we're on the moon. I mean, if you would have asked somebody, you know, can we go to the moon, you know, when they started to fly, I think nobody would have believed it. So I think that technology, and even now, is going to go more rapidly. So I think there's really a scheme for vision as to what can actually happen. And even if it sounds crazy today, I think it's not going to be unachievable. The other thing that I want to mention, though, is this element of technology and what it actually replaces. I think as much as technology does change, we as humans don't change, and hospitality lives because of its people. And I think we need to be incredibly careful that we don't replace the human in this technology revolution in hospitality, but enable the human being to spend time where it's most valuable for the customer. And I think that whenever we sell technology solutions or we come up with them, we always need to, I think, underpin that and underline that of what people do with the initial time that they free up out of processes that are not adding any value. Like to have a transaction at the desk for payment doesn't add any value. To have a meaningful conversation at the desk does add value. So it's instead of, rather than, we don't need the human anymore. And I think that's a really important point. And I think that, you know, in hotels, we started to get rid of reception desks because we said we can do this remotely. But actually, the desk might not be needed for the hotel anymore, but a client during their stay, they really want to find where the people are they can talk to. And the receptionist is quite helpful because we know where to navigate through. So we need to really look at this with the perspective of the clients. And lastly, I think I just try to bring this home every time. Whatever we do, we need to look at the sustainability aspect. It's the biggest crisis we're facing. And you know, the more we can give this a platform, the problem is that it's a little bit like with COVID at the moment. You know, you go to a business and you might get an infection. You don't realize you got infected while you had a good time. And at the moment we're using this planet and we're having all the good time, and we don't realize that this planet is highly infected and we need to act. And I think all the startup businesses and technology companies play a role in it. And as hospitality businesses, we play a role in policy and also in the way we grow our businesses to demand this positive change.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. Also,
it's a pleasure having you. James?
Yeah, I think Joyce put it really well in the fact that from all of those presentations, I think there's real opportunity for each of them to collaborate together. I think they form some great ideas if they were to connect, or better ideas than they currently are. They're great at the moment, but even better. And that would be fantastic. And you know, on Yanis's point, I think, you know, wonderful that technology is, from a personalizing certain pieces. People still want that connection, and service is still important for people. Absolutely, it's absolutely vital. And it feels as though sometimes technology gives you personalization and gives you time, but that personal touch from people to people is still going to be vital. And how are we going to still maintain some of that while having the benefits of those apps? You know, the apps are a necessity at this moment in time. It's absolutely clear, and they have evolved over the last 4 months, you know, exponentially, which is a great thing for us in this business because it's helping our businesses, you know, open and grow. And we've worked hard with Dynamify to make that happen. But that personalization bit, we've absolutely got to nail it. We've got to get that people to people bit, because it's part of our DNA. It's what we do. We're in hospitality, and I think it's what everyone really wants to enjoy. So that's the conundrum.
Yeah, I get that. Thank you, James. Adam?
Yeah, I mean, thank you to all the to the presenters, and I echo the earlier comments. I think you know, for me, and I think it sort of sums this up quite nicely. We're in that stage now where, for the last umpteen years, as hospitality industry, caterers, experts, consultants, you name it, we all acted against ourselves. This is the one time now where we've actually got to pull together, and I think we're seeing an awful lot of great new, whether they're startups or existings and scale ups and so on and so forth. But actually, there's so much good out there that I think, you know, this is the time that we should be working as a one, because, you know, the size of the cake is now a lot smaller out there for all of us. And actually, we've got to try and all get a reasonable bite of that cake to make sure that we stay, you know, in this fantastic industry that we've all been part of. And I think, you know, tech has a complete part of what we're about to do, and it certainly is needed. But James's point, totally, you know, we can't afford to ever lose that experience, because that's what hospitality is about. And there's a complete difference between service and hospitality. And we're in the hospitality industry, you know, and we've got to make sure we keep that alive and we push it and we maintain it. But, you know, I think seeing all of these today, it's great. You know, there's a lot of those that sort of mix and overlap. It's now about how you can really merge some of that lot to make this really work, and for us all to become very great again, because that's what it needs.
Thank you, Adam. Ramesh?
Firstly, I endorse all the previous comments. I think all the presentations were great, and I wish them success. Chris, in terms of hospitality, I mean, I'm one of those annoying people who, when I go into the hotel, I'm in my room, the first thing I want to do is look out of the window. But if I'm going to have to find a machine which tells me how to open the shutter, then the exterior curtain and the interior curtain, I think I'd lose the will to live. And having been to Japan a couple of times and having had to bend down and read the instructions on the loo before I use it, and thinking of the 15 different functions it performs, and I think, do I really need all that? So I think there has to be a bit of a balance, but I'm also one of those annoying people who, in a hotel, I want to meet the general manager. And if something is going well, I want to be able to talk to him and say, wow, how do you do this? And I want to learn as well. On the other hand, if something is not going well for me, I want to be able to talk to a human being and have that balance as well. And then the question of what is hospitality? If it's the machines are doing everything for me, I might as well just stay at home. But I want to end by saying that I love this idea, and I hope it happens very soon, where this one machine gives me coffee in the morning and a gin and tonic in the evening. So can I order 2 of those?
That's right. Thanks very much indeed, and thank you. Lauren, do you want to cap off?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you to everyone who has participated, and Ramesh, like you say, and everyone has reiterated the fact that technology is the way forward, but it's how we use technology smarter so that we can enable that, Jan, as you said, that extra time that we can then focus on our guests. We can do what we do best, which is looking after people, which is caring for them, which is giving them a great experience. Hospitality it's part of our DNA, as we said. Technology can take away some of the doing that we don't need to do, so we can focus on the important things. All these businesses have, I think someone said to me the other day, had to pivot at a pace of knots. And I think they've done brilliantly in doing that. And if we're able to support them going forward, because they are future-proofing and they're helping us future-proof our businesses. We've also just come out of we're in a crazy time where we've seen community, we've seen working together like never before. So to Adam's point again about, you know, working as one is really essential. And anything that anyone can do to help them with that, we really, really appreciate it. So judges and audience, anyone who is interested, very happy to connect you and get conversations moving forward. But thank you so much for your time, really appreciate it.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.